Martina. I am a portrait artist based in Austria, and in this video you can watch me paint Jasmin Gnu. She is an amazing streamer and she does YouTube as well, and she is really successful and I really like her reaction videos. Please stay tuned and watch the whole video, and I would really appreciate if you leave a comment and if you tell me what you like or if you like this painting, because I think it turned out pretty well, but you decide. Bye!
So guys, I'd like to divide our conversation here into two parts. First, the painting process, how and where I worked on the piece, and second, I'd like to talk a bit about Jasmin herself. So first, let me explain why I choose to paint her. For the past few months, I've been watching videos from her third YouTube channel, Jasmin Gnu. I love her reaction videos and I deeply relate to the way she sees the world. She truly has a calming voice, and I must confess that I sometimes listen to her opinions as I fall asleep. Lately, I have also started watching her horror gameplay videos. I absolutely love horror games, but I'm someone who doesn't really enjoy playing on PC, Xbox or PlayStation. I much prefer watching others play. My partner, whom I love more than anything, isn't into this type of game at all and feels more at home in the World of Tanks category, which I personally just can't connect with. Anyway, to get back to the point, her videos currently make up a big part of the content I consume, and at some point I just thought, why not paint her? Now let's talk about the places where I painted this portrait. As most of you have probably guessed, I painted this in a public space, specifically at Easter markets. I attended various markets and conventions throughout the year, and I really enjoy painting live at you. This allows visitors to experience the painting process in real time and ask me questions directly. And although these settings would be great opportunities to work on commissions, I deliberately choose not to. The risk is too high. What if someone stumbles near the table and spills a drink on the artwork? That would be especially unfortunate for a commission. And it's not a risk I am willing to take. Additionally, most of my commissions are gifts for family, friends and acquaintances. How unfortunate it would be if the birthday person accidentally saw the portrait in progress. Even though the chance is slim, something similar has actually happened to me before. I once created a family portrait for a friend, intended as a gift for her mother's birthday, and painted it live at a Christmas market. My friend was giving me a go to paint it live. Even though her parents live far away, someone recognized them. On one hand, I was proud. It showed that my work was realistic enough to make non-famous people recognizable. On the other hand, I had to make sure it didn't spoil the surprise for my friend and her mother. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. No one spilled the secret, my friend thought it was hilarious, and she was amazed that her parents were recognized at a Christmas market so far from home. Now onto the painting process. As you can see, I started with the background. I specifically brought my soft pastels to block it on side. Normally, I like to blend the pastels using soft tools, but I had hidden them too well this time, so my trusty paper blender had to do the job. The rest of the portrait was created entirely using pastel pencils. It's especially important to me to work with ultra sharp pencils in the earliest layers, since the paper hasn't absorbed any pigment yet and the surface is still quite rough. If the pencils aren't sharp, the color application can't be as precise and detailed as I'd like. In later layers, that's not as much of a problem since the tooth of the paper gets filled with pastel pigment, making the surface smoother. That means the more pastel layers you apply, the smoother and more detailed the application becomes. Even in the first layer, I try to use a wide range of colors. I find that using multiple color nuances makes portraits look much more interesting than simply applying classic skin tones. Depending on the reference, that may not even come across as photorealistic when you are just using classic skin tones. And besides, I find it exciting to experiment with color. I also try to use slightly more intense tones early on, because blending the first layer tends to mute the colors and make them appear less vibrant. As you might have guessed, I then layer the pastel pencils over the paper again and again. That layering is very important to me, as I find it creates more three-dimensionality. Starting with the middle layers, I no longer use the paper blender, but instead use my fingers. That gives me much better control over how softly or firmly I blend the pigments. How firm the pressure should be is, in my opinion, something that comes with experience. Every pastel artist has their own way of working and their own unique technique. And depending on how much pigment someone has already applied, the pressure needs to be adjusted. For the final layers, I use only the pastel pencils, either for blending or to add the final marks and details. So I want to talk to you now about a little bit of Jasmin Gnu's life, career, a little bit that I found in the internet. So I hope everything is correct that I'm saying, but please leave a comment if something's not correct. So let's go into it. Jasmin Gnu, better known to many by her online name Gnu, formerly Saftiges Gnu, is one of the most well-known personalities in the German streaming and YouTube scene. She was born on June 8, 1989, in Baden-Württemberg and grew up in a small town called Klein Sachsenheim. She has both German and Turkish roots, which play a subtle but meaningful role in her biography. Before stepping into the spotlight of the digital world, she trained as a graphic designer. She later demanded her expertise with a master's degree in new media, an education that would help her create content that is both professional and visually engaging. In 2015, she launched her YouTube channel Saftiges Gnu. What began as a humorous name quickly became a brand. Eventually, she opted for the shorter, more distinctive Gnu. What sets Gnu apart is not just her talent for gaming content, but also her openness in addressing serious issues. On her main channel, she features challenges and collaborations with other influencers. On her secondary channel, Verspieltes Gnu, she does gameplay throughs, and I especially love the horror gameplays. The last gameplay I watched her doing was The Devil in Me. She did this a few years ago, but I never saw it and I thought it was just brilliant. And on her third channel, Jasmin Gnu, she increasingly focuses on social issues, sexism in gaming, body positivity, toxic masculinity, and mental health. She speaks about all of this openly, often sharing her personal experiences. In 2022, she co-authored a book with journalist Lisa Ludwig titled Du schaffst das nicht or You won't make it. The title plays on a phrase that women, especially in gaming, hear all too often. The book became a bestseller, reaching #1 on the Spiegel bestseller list and resonated deeply, particularly to young women struggling against prejudice and toxic structures. The year 2024 marked a turning point for Jasmin. She moved to Switzerland in what she described as a true new beginning. The move was not only geographic but also deeply personal. After separating from her longtime partner, she had to reorganize many aspects of her life: her career plans, emotional well-being, and future goals. But the relocation was not without setbacks. One major incident involving her failing victim to a PC scam. A so-called tech service provider sold her a system that turned out to be defective, and at a stepped price. Even more serious was the case of a man who began stalking her with bizarre accusations. He publicly claimed that Gnu had stolen his supposedly Nobel Prize-worthy work. The situation escalated to threats, including death threats, which forced her to involve the police and eventually led to legal proceedings. These events took a visible toll on her mental health, something she spoke about publicly, which earned her a great deal of respect, but also renewed hostility. Yet, despite these burdens, Jasmin Gnu continues to face her community with confidence and strength. Over the years, she has built a very loyal fan base that values her honesty and authenticity. Many of her followers say that her content not only entertains them, but also empowers them. And I must admit, her content does this for me as well.
The painting did come to an end, and as you can see here is the finished portrait. I really like her. I think she turned out pretty well. I only painted her at Marquez as you watched the video, and for that I think she's radiating. As said before, please leave a comment. Tell me what's your favorite kind of stream, because I am such a sucker for horror gameplay. I recently watched for the first time The Quarry. And I think Jasmin did a really great job. Not letting the whole cast die. If you like this video, I would really appreciate if you give the video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe to my channel. And as always, I wish you a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever and whenever you are watching this video. Guys, have a wonderful time. Till next time.